Let's talk about one of the biggest names in this free agency cycle and why I think that the narrative about him isn't complete. What's up, everyone? My name is Josh Butts. You're watching No Butts About It. And today I want to talk about Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce is one of the most talked about names currently in free agency. And that's because he really had a breakout season in 2025. He's kind of been someone who's been under the radar for most of his career, but the last two or so seasons, he's really gained some respect in the league. And he's been a guy that I've enjoyed watching for a while. He's a very fun player, deep threat. And that's kind of where the narrative has gone with him. And for good reason. That's a big part of his game is the deep threat. But every article I've read about him has focused on that fact. They focused on the fact that he's led the league in yards per reception, I think, the last 2 years, but they don't really focus on how he's developed as a player. And I think that kind of hurts, his reputation and who he is. And I think it's a disservice to him because I think Alec Pierce has really taken the time to make himself a better player for the Indianapolis Colts. And, he made that statement of, hey, I'm not going to sign with a team until I know who my quarterback is. And that upsets some people. But I think that that's a legitimate concern. He was a rookie in 2022. And think about the quarterback instability that the Colts have had in that time from Anthony Richardson, Sam Ellinger, Matt Ryan, Philip Rivers, even. It's kind of difficult as a wide receiver to work with all these different quarterbacks. And Alec Pierce has done a pretty good job with that. So let's first just look at his 2025 numbers. He had a very good season: 84 targets, 47 receptions, 1,003 yards, and six touchdowns for 21.3 yards per reception. And that's where a lot of these articles end. They end with that 21.3 yards per reception. However, I wanted to look at the breakdown according to NFLPro.com. So let's look at his short yardage. So under 10 yards, and this is air yards. So this doesn't include yards after catch. This is just from quarterback to receiver. So under 10, he had 16 routes that resulted in 11 receptions for 97 yards. And he had 80, I believe that's 88 yards. That comma is not supposed to be there, or 8.8 yards per reception. So that's what that is. 8.8 yards per reception. That comma is not supposed to be there. I apologize for that. But intermediate, I think, is where things get interesting because, again, remember, the narrative is deep ball. But intermediate, 10 to 19 air yards, he's got 45 routes that resulted in 27 receptions for 533 yards, two touchdowns, and 19.7 yards per reception. So he's doing a lot with, these intermediate routes. He's getting above what our ceiling is for this category per reception. So that's very important. Um, he's also got the most amount of his yards here. So it's not like, the quarterbacks are just airing the ball over the top of the secondary and he just happens to be there. Those would be in the deep ball category. No, he is catching this ball and he's making do with it. But let's move on to the deep ball. 20 plus yards. He's got 23 routes, 9 receptions, 373 yards for 4 touchdowns, and he has 41.4 yards per reception. So is the deep ball a big part of his game? Yes. But he's also able to get that intermediate catch. He's able to, come in against top corners like this play here against Patrick Surtain, a former defensive player of the year. Very respectable. And he gets some space and he's able to get the first down, move the chains. And that is kind of what Alec Pierce has developed into. He's developed into this player that you can call on multiple times in a situation, whether it be an intermediate or a deep route. And he used to be that guy who just, you send him on a go route and he's going to, get the ball over the top. He was quick, he was big, he was able to do that. But, with Michael Pittman Jr., again, fantastic receiver, but Michael Pittman Jr. struggled with injuries. So that's where Alec Pierce has kind of had to step up. And Josh Downs has struggled with injuries. The Colts have had these great receivers that have struggled with injuries. Alec Pierce has consistently been healthy, and he's stepped up and diversified his route tree. And that's why he's going to be such a big name in free agency. Um, I think that a lot of teams are going to be looking at Alec Pierce as a deep threat, but that the Colts need to respect what he has done. He's still young. I believe he's only 25 years old. He has a May birthday, I believe, which means he'll be 26 this upcoming season. So he is not old at all, and he is continuing to grow as a player and as a route runner. He has also shown that he's willing to block in the NFL. He's at the top of the screen here, and this is a big play from when the Colts played the Falcons. We're going to see Jonathan Taylor with a bit of a misdirect to the weak side, but then he comes back out and goes to the strong side. Alec Pierce could have given up on this route, but because he stays with his guy and delivers this block, it results in a touchdown. I think if Alec Pierce isn't there, that Falcon, I'm not sure who that was, has a chance to, make a shoestring tackle at least. It still would have been a big game, but let's watch this again and just watch Alec Pierce stay with his guy. He's lined up at the top, and he's going to come all the way across and just run with his guy. This is the type of benefit that having a guy like Alec Pierce has. See 14 coming across there. Him and Tyler Warren lead a convoy for Jonathan Taylor. It's just a great block, great situational awareness from Alec Pierce. And, I could see teams like the Patriots who maybe need that deep threat after releasing Stephon Diggs, that intermediate to deep threat, a diverse route runner. The Patriots are shoo-ins to be in the running for this, but the Colts need to be as well. And so I think that they need to focus on getting Daniel Jones' contract done as quickly as possible because Alec Pierce is not going to be on the market for a long time. And Drake May is a consistent quarterback. He may regress a little bit from what we've seen this year, but he's still very good. And so I think any team that signs Alec Pierce, their fans need to recognize that he is more than just a deep threat that's going on go routes to catch deep balls. He is going to be a very good player that brings a lot to an offense and allows for them to open it up a little bit over the top. Is a great vertical threat, but he can also run those intermediate routes that help open up the offense. So let me know what you think down below. What kind of contract do you think Alec Pierce will get? Do you think that Alec Pierce will re-sign with the Colts, or do you think he'll go to a different team? I'm very curious what you think, so let me know. As always, I appreciate every single person who stops by our channel. If you could give us a like, I would appreciate it, and subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any of the latest NFL news. And as always, until next time, go do something nice for someone.